Hi everybody, and welcome to the first test edition of Let's Find Out What We Have in Our Cabinet and Make a Drink. I'm your host today, Jack McLaughlin, and I'm out here at my girlfriend's mother's house in Boulder, Colorado. And as is the case when you're staying at someone else's house, oftentimes you don't have the things you need, but you have the things you have. So today, we're going to be making a drink with vodka, because I don't really like vodka, but we wanted to get rid of the rest of it. And lemons, because we really enjoy drinking margaritas and we don't want to use our limes, but we have enough lemons. So we're going to use a lemon today, sugar, and simple syrup, which, in case you don't know, is essentially just sugar and water. To make this from this, all you need is a pot and a stove. I would take equal amounts of sugar and water, cook them to a boil, let it cool, and then pour it into a little container like this. Okay, but for now, let's get started. Today we're going to be making something called a lemon drop. First thing you're going to need to do is get a lemon. What we're going to do now is just cut this bad boy in half. And honestly, you could just squeeze it. I have a measuring cup here. You could just squeeze it, or I'm going to use a juicer because we have one. So I'm going to pop this bad boy in here. Let's go ahead and squeeze this. And now as we're squeezing this, the amount of lemon juice that we need is going to be 1 ounce. So this measuring cup only goes to 2 ounces, but luckily, if you have a tablespoon or teaspoon measuring thing, one of these bad boys, it's easy to get an ounce. Just remember that 1 ounce is 2 tablespoons. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and, for good measure, just do both of these. Let's see what we got. And now, since we're not fancy bartenders today, we are going to be making drinks in mason jars. Perfect. Now, while we're waiting, keep this ice in another container so it doesn't dilute the mason jar. And in the meantime, let's see how much lemon juice we got out of that first lemon. All right. 1 tablespoon. 2 and a little. So it seems like a general good rule of thumb is about 1 of these lemons should be good for a drink. Okay, so we got our lemon juice. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to add some simple syrup in there. Now the key to a drink like this, which is known as a sour, is a nice ratio of sweet and sour and spirit. So we have our sour, our acid already in here. We're going to add our sweet, which is some simple syrup. Now I tend to like a ratio of 1 ounce of lemon juice to 3/4 of an ounce of simple syrup. Now again, we're using tablespoon and teaspoon measurements here. So what to make 3/4 of an ounce, we're going to use 1 tablespoon plus 1.5 teaspoons. Now this is a half teaspoon measurement, so I'm going to do 3 of these. We got a half. Now you can play around with these ratios because you might like your drink sweeter, you might like your drinks more tart. For me, when I'm having a cocktail, I like to taste the acid and I like to taste the booze a little bit. Now, ideally everything is working together in concert with each other, but I prefer mine a little bit more tart to sweet, if I'm being honest. Okay, so lastly, I just want to mention what you'll see I'm doing here is I started with the lemon juice and then the sugar, and then finally we're going to put the booze in. Now this isn't expensive booze at all. This is just good old-fashioned cheap Swedish vodka. But if you're using nice booze, the reason you would build a drink the way I did it is that if you mess it up, you want the last ingredient you put in to be your most expensive. Because if you mess up these, you can just go ahead and toss it out. And lemons are literally growing on trees. Okay, so vodka, we're going to add 2 ounces. Now, I do have this measuring cup, which has a 2 ounce marker on the bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and use this, but you could use a tablespoon measurement if you wanted. Okay, 2 ounces of booze. Unfortunately, we're not doing the Ina Garten method, so I'm going to only measure 2 ounces and not 1 cup. Although, Ina, I love what you do. All right, 2 ounces of booze. Perfect. Okay, boom. I'm going to save that last little bit because it would make it kind of boozy. Now finally, with this lemon drop drink, we're gonna add one more ingredient, which is not typical to a sour. It's a little bit of vanilla extract, because this is kind of a sweeter, fruitier drink. So we're gonna add, normally you would add a few drops if you have a dropper. I don't, we just have this little thing. So I'm just gonna add just the teensiest, weensy amount. I have, okay. I put it in a little shot glass so I could keep better track of it. But let's see, I'm gonna say, that should be enough. Give it a little smell. Boop. Okay. Perfect. Now, lastly, if you have a martini glass, cool, that's great. If you have a solo cup, that's fine too. Whatever you want to drink out of. What we are going to add is a sugared rim to this drink. Again, this is atypical of a sour drink, but is typical of a drink like this that we're making here today, the lemon drop. Okay, now let's see. Now, what I should have done before but didn't, but we're going to go ahead and do now, is get a little bit of a zest. Something that at the end of this drink, we can add just enough to kind of get some oil on the top of this cocktail. So let's see if we can make this work. You know, that's gonna do. Perfect. So I got a little thing like this, see? Boop. And at the end of it, you're gonna have lots of little pores, almost like if you looked at your face under a microscope. And that's where all the oils are gonna be from the lemon. So it'll give it a nice just pop. All right, so I have this bowl, and what we're gonna do with the bowl is add a little bit of sugar. Just enough we can kind of top our rim with it. Now, typically if a glass is cold, sugar will stick to it. Otherwise you want it wet. I didn't really do that, so I just got an ice cube. I'm going to run an ice cube along the top here to kind of get it a little bit wet. We're going to go ahead and pop this in here. Let's see what we got here. Okay. You see we've got a little bit of a sugared rim. It's just going to give us just enough flavor for each sip. Okay. So remember, we've got 3/4 of an ounce of simple syrup, 1 ounce of lemon juice, and 2 ounces of Sweden's Finest. And now, what we're going to do is we're going to just add ice. Now I built this in a mason jar because, again, I'm out in the Wild West of Boulder, Colorado here. You have what you have, and most of you probably have a mason jar at home. Maybe not everybody is a cocktail expert with your, you know, martini shakers. So just take something like this. You can literally take an old pasta, you know, you had your pasta sauce, go ahead and clean that thing out. You can use a jar like that. I'm just going to add ice. Mason jars are great because the top screws on. Now when we're making a drink and we're shaking it up, what we're trying to do is both chill the drink down and dilute it. Now, most bartenders will agree and would tell you this. Water, dilution, is the secret ingredient to every good cocktail. So what we're going to do here, remember, you want to shake it to wake it, not rock it to sleep. So we're going to go ahead and shake it nice and hard. Okay, now I counted my shakes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Did about 25 shakes. Now that should shake it to wake it, but it won't overly dilute it because we want to taste our drink here. Now finally, what I'm going to do is just take this and I'm going to use the top of this mason jar just to kind of strain out the ice. Or you know what? I even have a strainer. Perfect. Go ahead and see if I can do this. Or something along those lines. Oh, there we go. Ta-da! Okay. Perfect. So we got our drink here. Now lastly, the little cherry on top, or actually lemon on top, we got our little zest here. So what you want to do is you want to take it like this, and you just got to pinch it like you're making a little, like a little canoe, you know? So you're just going, boop. And what you're looking for is little tiny ripples on top of the drink, which will signify that oils are on the top. Now this is going to give a great little aroma when you're sipping the drink. You'll be able to really smell it, but it won't add any sweetness. And then normally with the zest you would rub it around the rim, but since we have a sugar rim, we're not going to do that. We're just going to make sure we got it all in there. And then I bent it there and kind of go over the top. Boom. Good to go. And what you've got is a quarantine make what you got cocktail. My name's Jack McLaughlin, and I'm signing off from the Backyard Bar in Boulder, Colorado. Have a nice day.